So let's add some stuff here. Okay. If we wanted nav mesh, I should probably bring in pathfinding. So pathfinding. There we go. Pathfinding. Get that package because we need that for AI. If you're using this, I mean, you could also, if you look at my tutorial on A-Star, you could also use A-Star with this. It would work just fine. And it would also work in 2D. Pathfinding is a 3D only thing. So this thing needs a nav mesh agent. And now we have this nav mesh agent on it. But in order for it to do something, we need navigation baked. I made a massive terrain. It's probably excessive, but hey, whatever. Go big or go home, right? So I'm just going to bake it. And it's going to bake everything that's static. Alright, so now we have this blue thing, right? And if you, alright, and just to make sure that's very, very clear for anybody, let's take this cube randomly. I'm just going to expand them out. And go like something like that. Let's bring him down a little bit. And if I mark him as static, you can see now when I bake, it's doing a little bake. Now we have this, right? It has things like that. So the AI won't walk into it. The AI could go up here technically if it had a way up there, but that's too far of a jump height. You could add jump heights, and you could add all sorts of stuff so the AI can jump. But I'm not worried about that right now. That's not what we're talking about. So we have this pretty little AI, and it has this collision enter. Okay, so what if we add a state over here? We said this is the start state. And actually, you know what? No, let's not do that because that's going to make things complex. Instead, let's build another FSM for this guy. Actually, we'll make a template out of it. That'll even be easier. So let's, what are we going to do? Do we have overlap? Find overlaps. Sure, that should work. So an overlap sphere, and really we don't need that many. We do want a layer mask though. So if we put our player, where's our player? This guy right here. Let's rename him so we can do something with that. Let's put him on a layer. Let's make a layer called player. This is the player layer. Where players hang out at. He's going to be on the player layer. No, just that object's fine. So in this guy, if we say we're only looking for the player layer, and we can do a repeat and no overlaps, found overlaps, found player, right? So just that alone, right? And if we do a radius, let's make it 5 for now, and let's put this guy over here. If I hit play, this thing should be running, and it can't see the player because it has a radius of 5. And if I move it in, and if I put a debug on, you should be able to see. Yeah, there we go. You can see that it's doing that big of an area. And if I enter, we see the player. Okay, cool. Let's put the debug back on. Let's go with a radius of, I don't know, 15 even? Is 15 too big? I don't know. Screw it. Let's go with that. So if we see the player, what do we want to do? Set agent destination as game object to, well, we need a place to get this stuff, right? So we have to store the overlapping, which is going to be an array. Now we can't set our destination to an array. There's no frickin', you can't do that. But we know, really, there's only going to be one player, right? So if the array is being filled, we can just array get our hit objects at index 0, and that's going to be our player. And now we can move towards the player, just like that. So now, very simply, AI-wise, if I were to take our player, I guess I can just actually drive him over. This AI wants to run at us, right? Very basic. And he hits us and we get our color. Right, and now this is where you might want to try to get him from behind or whatever you're doing. I don't know. So there we have that. Okay, so it's very simple. Now, with that said, do we want this guy to run the second the player comes into radius? And you might not want to, right? Because what if the player's coming in behind? It's okay for the AI to turn around, but what if you want this to be a little bit of a timer? So let's bring this radius down to a variable. Okay, and then let's make this radius a input. Now, we have that. We also have, for example, if we go back up to this guy, and we have all of this, right? We could literally take this, copy, come into this guy, and paste it, right? So we found a player. Let's come down here. So we get a position of ourselves. We get position of the player. It's going to be, we need this guy. Move that to the top. So we get our player, we get our positions, we get the position of the player, we do our same stuff, and we say, okay, this is, we're not actually hitting the player, but, so if we're hitting the front, let's move right away. But, wait, let's add a wait. Let's say if you're coming in from the side, let's give it a, yeah, let's say 1 second. Might be a little slow, but whatever. It'll get the point across. And then chase the player. And if you're coming in from the back, let's give that a 2.5 second. So side, front, there we go. Now all of a sudden we have something a little more interesting. So if we now look at it, if we hit play, now our radius is set to 0. We have to obviously adjust that. But if I come down here, I can adjust it here. I should be able to. Right, yeah. Okay. So if we watch the player, now if we come in from the side, it sees the side and then it goes, right? See that? It's a thing of frickin' beauty right there. And if I turn around, and then we run at him, he'll come in and he'll see the back. Oh, whoops, I gotta obviously adjust that. Radius. Oh, that's not very big at all. Okay, that'll work. Let's bring that back up. All right, so now if we come in from the back, it sees the back, but we can still have, we have time to hit it. All right. So you can adjust these times on how reactive you want this AI. So let's save this as AI detection. And then I'm just going to literally delete this because we don't want this here. And now in here, let's run FSM, and let's run AI detection. And we can adjust our radius, right? We can, put it 7. And that's it. So now we just have this one little FSM that has a template in it. And oh, what's happening? Oh, that's, wait, yeah. Here I am wondering why it's not going. It's because it has got a weight to it. Oh my god. Tricking myself. Right, so we come over to the side, it does the weight, and then it goes. Comes in, it does the color. Right, now it's coming back here, and we don't actually want that. But for now, yeah, so that's how we can do this AI. Now this part here obviously needs to change. We're not going to be just altering colors. It's going to be a lot more to that. But now we have the AI that can actually travel and move. So this AI can be anything, and you could literally get rid of the render and put in a different model. Call this AI. That's fine. So the idea is then we want a way to do the battle somehow, right? So we're going to need some sort of manager, which means this manager needs to, let's put a tag to him. Let's call him manager. And now let's find object. We want to find the manager with that tag, and this is going to be, oh wait, no, we don't want to find the object. What we want to do is get owner and store it as a global variable called manager. And if you've never used global, it just pops up. I'm just going to hit OK because I don't care about it. So now it's that. But we don't want to just get that. That actually happens after. So in the first one, though, what we're going to do is we're actually going to is null. So if manager is null and or is not null, right? If it's null, then just get the manager and call it good. We don't have a manager, now we have a manager. If it's not null, though, then we've already got this thing. We don't want this thing. So what do we want to do? We want to destroy object. We want to destroy the manager and then get this guy ourselves and become the manager. And in here, I'm going to have this little thing called do not destroy on load. So he'll travel in between all the scenes. And the reason why we put this in is because if we go to, say, scene 2, and then we come back to scene 1, this manager is already technically in scene 1, but this thing that we've created travels through scenes. So we go to scene 2, this manager comes with us. We go back to scene 1, this manager is still coming with us, but this scene already has a manager already. So then we're going to be like, oh my god, what's all this? We have 2 managers. So this guy's going to find that, destroy it, and then become the manager himself. So you'll only ever have the one manager. If that makes any sense. And let's see if that's right. So if he's null, he's the manager. And if we have a manager, destroy the manager. No, actually, we don't want to destroy the manager. Come to think of it, we want to destroy ourselves. We just want to destroy ourselves. Just like that. That makes more sense to me now. So, and if you want to see what that looks like, let's add a simple button. And we need to save this project, or we need to, well, save, obviously. We need to go to our build settings. We need to add this. This is scene 0. Now, if we add a tiny bit of logic here, and let's say button click. Oh, that one there. If we get our button, this guy right here, if he gets clicked, we're going to load a level. So we're going to come over here and we're going to load scene. We're not even going to do it async. We're just going to flat out load. And we're going to actually use a variable here. Load scene. And I'm going to put that variable as an input. And that's it. All right, so what I'm going to do now, I'm literally just going to prefab this guy. So now I can go to this guy and say, all right, this one's going to load scene 1. Now I'm going to save. And I'm going to go make a new scene, and I'm going to take the canvas and drop it back in, and this guy's going to load scene 0. And we should probably, put the button into a normal position other than some crazy position. Save. Oh, okay, we'll call it scene 2. Sure. And we're going to open a scene, and we're going to go back to of course, the sample scene is what I was building, and I probably should have named it something else. So I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm just going to put this guy to scale screen size and put the button into a decent spot. Okay, so if I hit play, this is kind of how this manager logic is going to work. Don't worry about that crap. That's based on the event system. Oh, actually, I might have to. The event system, replace with the input UI module. That needs to happen. I might have to do that in the other scene too. Alright, so and that's only because I'm using the new input system. Right, the old input system runs off the old manager. I need input. So now I can click this thing. So if I click this thing, we should go to scene 1, right? Which we never added it to the build settings, so that was totally anticlimactic. So let's save. Let's go over here. We should probably add the event system here so that we don't have that same issue anyways. We want to add UI event system, and I'm going to put that new UI here. All right, so we need to add this thing to the build settings. So add this scene. Now we have that one. Okay, now we're finally ready for testing. So we're going to go into our sample scene. We hit our play button. And this is the idea of this manager. So if I hit this, we go to this scene. And you can see we have whatever's in this scene, right, which is our canvas and the light and all that fun stuff. But we have this do not destroy on load. Don't worry about that. This guy here is our manager. And as you can see, he is sitting here. Life is grand. And if I hit this button, this manager is technically part of this scene to begin with. So he's already here, right? But you don't see him here because of this logic here also would run on the one that was already here. So now that we've swapped scenes, this guy's already set himself as a manager. The other manager that was here checks if this was null, and it was not null, so he destroyed himself. Right, and if I go into this manager, right, and if we, for example, disable this just so you can see what this actually looks like, so you don't think I'm lying to you, is if I hit play, we go here. There's our manager. Nothing's different. Everything's the same. I hit play, and we have our manager. We're still here, but look, we have another manager here. All right, dun dun dun. And if I keep going back and forth, we're always going to have this stupid manager here. We don't want that, right? So that's why it's important that this guy, even though he's traveling with us back and forth, we got to realize that he's going to be in the same scene if we're changing the scene to where he was from. Because now we come here, we go back, and he's gone. He's not there. He doesn't exist. We only have the one manager. So that's how we kind of set that up. But now that gives us a spot. We can fire data back and forth from whatever's happening into this world to this guy to hold references for us. Or you can use globals, but globals are limited. This guy's going to give us a lot more flexibility so that we can do various things. We don't need the canvases. I'm getting rid of those. That was just for demonstration purposes.